Day one again. I'm so upset. We're back though. All right. Holy. All right, bet. Welcome everybody. Welcome. Am I live? I know I'm not live until I see the Academy. What's going on with my hair right here, man? What's going on with this little strand? This keep fucking me up. We're not live until I see the King Academics chat. Not King Academics, the Academy chat pop up. It ain't pop up yet. We're still not clear. Just trying to make sure everybody's online. All right, let me get Meta online. We should be live everywhere. Shout out to my people on Kick. Yo, we've been strong on Kick. Yo, Kick and Rumble, shout out to y'all. But Kick, like, yo, we don't even got 10,000 followers yet on Kick. We about to hit it now. Yo, what up? Yo, so much pressure when my birthday's done because now I'm like, yo, whoo, I don't got to do that for another 360 days. Let's get back to regular programming. Just to let y'all know, and I want everybody to know, originally when I thought about my birthday months ago, it was going to be Big Act, Feet Up, Kicked Up in Turks, 10 of my finest. I was just gonna be in Turks. Let's just say that. you know what I mean? I was just gonna have a good time, okay? It was supposed to be yesterday. This Diddy case is hitting though. You know me. Listen, every day is a Saturday for me in my life. I'm having the greatest time of my life doing what I love, entertaining y'all. I plan to do this until I'm 70. I've said fuck a vacation. We'll get that in later. So I ain't gonna lie, whenever this Diddy trial is over, I'm going on the craziest vacation. You gonna see it. It's gonna be great. But right now, it ain't time for vacation. It's time for work. It's time for work, okay? Time for work, all right? It's time for work. So chat, we here. I know I was supposed to go live at 8:30. It's all good. I was doing a coffee run. Okay. Somebody said, no, come on. The Turks freak off. The post-Diddy verdict Turks freak off. Oh, that would be crazy. I ain't gonna lie. I was gonna fly my finest there and be like, meet each other. No, I'm playing out. But I'm not. It's my birthday. Who gives a fuck? What the hell? Anyway, fuck the birthday shit. All right, we back here to work. Yo, chat. They're in court. We're gonna give you a full day today. I'm back to regular coverage. I should have streamed a couple minutes earlier because I got some other topics. I gotta knock these topics out, and that's why, man, I ain't streamed last night. I got some topics to knock out, all right? Fuck. Gunna, Thug. Yo, Thug is still on Gunna's bumper. Pause. What else? DDG Soldier. What else? Tory Bricks, Tory Lanez. Rich the Kid. We gotta get to those topics. We're doing heavy court shit, but remind me when we have a moment of like dullness, let me switch to another topic because we got a couple topics queued up. And also it's Monday, so y'all know what it is, you know, Monday. Well, I know y'all say Sunday fun day. Monday's really fun day for me because it's all the topics. We're going to get some new headlines as well. So chat, prepare for a good day. I'm already 6 shots in. I'm going to try to balance it out with some coffee, and I'm here to rock with y'all at least for the next 8 hours. I'll give y'all the day for me. I'm going to stream with y'all until at least 5. So right now, 8 hours. I'm rocking with y'all for 8 hours. And then I'm supposed to go do some shit with Myron too. So me and Myron going to do another recap because he's in court. We're going to do another recap later on in person. So me and him will stream together, like sit next to each other from a studio. But until then, y'all got me for 8 hours. Hopefully, y'all don't get bored. All right, cool. Chat. Bunch of updates. Let me get my little list ready. They're just starting up in court. They're doing like the little procedural shit right now. For everybody who asked how was my birthday, shout out to my team, shout out to my family. They took me on a nice dinner. And I'll say this. I consistently told them, you know, because they took me on the day of my birthday, like, how's your birthday been? And I literally told everybody, I celebrated my birthday on the 15th with the chat. It was the most surreal experience of my life. I'm still reliving moments from that night. I always wanted something like that. Never thought I'd be able to pull it off. I'm very happy. The May 15th, whoever who came out to New York City, forever you're embedded in my memory. That was my birthday. So the 17th, I'll be chilling. Like, I just be chilling. I ain't gonna lie. So for my actual birthday, I didn't really do much, right? I didn't really do much. My real birthday was being at Gramercy Theater with all of y'all. It was too much love in the building. Not too much. It was enough love in the building. But that was all the birthday celebration that I needed. You get what I'm saying? And I want to thank everybody who was a part of that. Okay, cool. So, all right, enough of that. We're done with the birthday shit. Birthdays could be a lot of pressure sometimes because everybody was hitting my phone. What's the wave? There is no wave. Nigga already did my event. There ain't no fucking wave. It's time to get back to work. Okay, perfect. So, they're in court now. It started about 19 minutes ago, right? Why do we have double? Hold on there. Okay, I think that's a double. Yep, cool. All right. Yo, I really want to touch on the other topics. Yeah, I do want to touch on the other topics, but we have to be current. Okay, chat. Do you want me to, let me see where we at with this. 5 minutes. Okay. Do we have any new updates? Okay, cool. Chat. Could I hit this new topic real quick? I just want to hit this topic real quick. So everybody who's tuning in for the Diddy stuff, did I tweet this out? We're doing all Diddy shit today. Pause. Extra pause. But I wanted to get this topic out. First and foremost, if you guys haven't seen, and shout out to all my people who run DJ Akademiks TV or Akademiks TV on Twitter, I think they figured it out, right? Along with a couple fans, that it appears Young Gunna has chosen to cover up the tattoo that says YSL. Let me go to DJ Akademiks TV on Instagram. You guys should follow all these pages. It appears that Gunna has now covered up the tattoo. When was this posted? Jesus Christ. And it's a tattoo of YSL. Now, I've been telling you guys this for a while. Gunna got out of jail, and he's been trying to hopefully getting forgiven by Thug. From what I hear, he was down to, when he got out on the Alford plea, he was down to, be the guy who was holding the YSL flag, getting money in for the label in case, blah, 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 blah. Thug ain't with it. Thug got a lot of artist friends. They might not be YSL. Whether it's Savage, Dirk, obviously Dirk's locked up now, Baby, other people. He's not looking to Gunna for Gunna to, go take the Alfred plea, get free, and go on some tours and send money back to me. No. For whatever reason, he don't fuck with the fact that Gunna kind of went on his own and took this plea to get out of trouble, not knowing what his plea could have implications for everybody else. Now, I've been told this a bunch of different ways, because some people would like to say, well, why is he mad at Gunna? His brother also took a plea. Here's how it goes when these guys claim gang, but everybody knows what this is, right? Everybody's gang until you get in the interrogation room and you got to call your lawyer by yourself and it says attorney-client privilege. It's not about what your code's saying at that point. From what I understand, Thug, and this is where I think that Thug is going to learn an important lesson. Thug wants to play street in the industry still. I don't think that's going to work. Young Thug is still, let me say it one more time. Young Thug is still trying to play street in the industry. It's not going to work. So, what Thug did, for what I hear, was honorable. He operated as a leader. He didn't fold on any of his guys, not that he really could. His guys didn't fold on him. Even the guy who folded Woody kind of ended up pretty much helping him, even though he still don't fuck with Woody. But Thug's entire thing was, it's not only for me to get out on the other side. And some people do look at it like fans. We look at it like, well, we don't give a fuck about this guy and that guy. We care about the star. Thug was trying to make sure they all got out. What happened was that as prosecutors were wheeling and dealing, and they're like, well, you know, Gunna, you don't really got too much to do with this, but you could have something to do with it. Gunna decided to make a personal choice. A choice for him, his family, his well-being, and for his career. That choice was not consulted with the rest of the people. Now, as I said, I think Thug has a major flaw. He's acting like the music industry is the streets. That's always going to fuck you up. And I don't think Thug's legal problems are going to end. I know he's on probation. I think there's more to come. I'm going to tell you why. Until you disassociate the industry and the streets, you're always going to fall in that pitfall of you trying to be real for the streets. So Gunna makes a personal choice. He gets out of Dodge. From what he was explained to him by his lawyer, nothing he said. He was never going to be able to testify against Thug and them. He felt like, I'm isolated, I'm dipping out. Thug was always looking at this as, if we're not making a decision as a group, you're making a decision that's going against us. Because it's going to make it harder. They could leverage you. That's snitching. That's been Thug's demeanor then. That is Thug demeanor now. So when Gunna got out and he was ever speaking about YSL or Thug, he spoke very complimentary, and Thug ain't like that shit. I got all the voice recording. He sent 4 voice notes out to other artists saying, I want to drop when that fuck nigga dropping. I don't like that nigga. Well, he was on the jail phone, so he said it coded. Yo, do a verse for me. Do this. He wanted to shit on Gunna. Gunna at the time is saying, nah, listen, man, Thug is, he's speaking highly of him. Thug also can't say certain shit because Gunna is technically part of the case and could be seen as a witness and could be intimidation. So that's where you see like all the families saying, oh yeah, no, there's no problem, whatever. I was on the proper authority that even though YSL was dropping his first project, the one with Bread and Butter and all that, what's that called? The one that went #1. Y'all know the song. Fuck You Mean. They would drop the music, but that's Thug's label. They ain't fully banging with him. I told y'all way back, I said, Gunna was going to end up on Warner or Atlantic. What had happened was 300 got merged over there. A lot of people said, nah, Ak, you're lying. I'm telling you what the executives are saying. Thug don't like the nigga, genuinely, from the bottom of his heart. Now, the reason why I say Thug is going to get caught up and fucked up in a lot of this shit is because he's taking this shit so personal. He thinks fans like us give a fuck about his street codes. We don't. We like snitches. I know some of y'all might not like quote-unquote snitches, but Gunna makes good music. We're not looking at him as snitching. He looks at Gunna as a snitch. We don't look at Gunna as a snitch. You see, it's easy when it's 6ix9ine and he's on the stand pointing. It's easy. These gray areas where he deems somebody as a snitch, but fans don't deem him as a snitch or even care, it becomes a little problematic. So, let me speed the story because I know we got to get to other topics. Jeffrey finds a way out of his situation. Even though he didn't get found not guilty, he got a plea as well. But his plea was favorable, and his plea it's kind of insinuated in the plea that he got. The prosecutor ain't really had nothing for him. So he continues the same mindset of saying, if everybody stayed solid, we would all get the fuck out. Even a guy who was accused and charged with murder, Gotti, I believe, or attempted murder, he's also getting out. So basically, they looked at it and say, why did this nigga separate from us and flip on us? Granted, no one really went down for some shit. Actually, some people, but they were in jail already. Already had other charges. He holds it against Gunna because he thinks what Gunna did was dishonorable to the street code, dishonorable to him, and Gunna is a goddamn rodent. Master Splinter. Now, when Thug gets out, you see Gunna's demeanor change. Gunna stopped shouting out Thug because Gunna was shouting out Thug when Thug couldn't say nothing. That's why Thug was trying to drop on his release date, send out these voice notes, because I'm telling you, and I heard people tell me I was lying. They were like, no, he was desperately telling everybody, I hate this motherfucker. Don't support him. Tell people I don't like him. Fans didn't care. When Thug gets out, for real, and he could speak for himself, you hear what he said. Yo, Gunna, stop acting like we friends. They ain't delete it. But you stop seeing Gunna claim YSL. Gunna's plan, I'm telling you this is a fact. He always thought Thug would be free. But he thought that once Thug got his freedom and didn't get all those years, granted, I think he got let out maybe a year and a half before Thug. He thought Thug would forgive him. Thug would be like, all right, bro, yeah, you right. Like, what they caught you up on wasn't really shit. It's all good. You're my mans. You're still gang. Thug is not letting it go. So Gunna at that point realizes not only is Thug free, there's no place for me on YSL anymore. And there's no love and there's no more returning to that friendship. Gunna always wanted to get back together. Thug never wanted to. That was crystallized when Thug got out. And now Gunna has accepted that. What happened is that Gunna had a YSL tattoo. He's now covered it up. You see some flames. This is the new fit Gunna. He's covered up YSL. The snake and also the word or the letters YSL. Okay? The update is that Thug still feel the same way. Thug still on his head top. Thug hopped up in the comment section after another page, Our Generation Music, posted the YSL thing here, it being covered up here. You heard what Thug said, and you know this is Thug's page. He says, I mean, he did say it must end. LOL. Chat, for all y'all fans who are just wishfully thinking these guys are going to come back together, this is the question that most of y'all are not prepared to answer. I don't care. I get it. I might think me and the Vlads and the Charleston Whites, oh, y'all like people who cooperated. That's not what it is. We're just not street dudes. We don't care. Y'all don't really care either. Because if y'all really cared, it's very obvious that Thug feels so deeply offended by what Gunna did, he thinks Gunna is a snitch. Y'all still listen. Y'all gonna still listen to Gunna. Y'all still gonna listen to Thug. So that's the point where I'm saying Thug is thinking the industry or fans are going to move on his principles. When 6ix9ine snitched, DSPs blackballed him for snitching because he was not cultural. The DSPs love Gunna. Fans still love Gunna. The point is, I say that to say, Thug, with all due respect, you're on the clock. This and Gunna ain't going to help you. Drop a hot album. We want to hear your story. This whole anti-Gunna campaign, it just ain't working. So we just need you to drop some hot shit and let Gunna go have his career because he's going to have an illustrious career. And every single day that passes by, more and more people start fucking with him. You see Offset with him? Obviously DDG, but DDG is not a street dude. You see, I think he did some shit with Roddy Ricch. Yeah, people don't give a fuck. Last thing I'll say before we get on to what we got to get to. My advice to Thug, you dropped a song with Future, it debuted outside of the top 40. Your first song debuted outside of the top 40. I'm not saying you waited long enough, but maybe it's not hot enough, and I know you're talented enough because you are one of those legends. Get on your shit. You need to drop a fire album. By the way, Youngboy's on that time right now. He's on the clock too, but here's the thing. Everybody know Youngboy. No matter how much time you lock him up, this and third, Youngboy a little bit mentally, he not about to come back on some different shit. The judge told you can't wipe your nose no more. You can't say you slime. You can't even say YSL. This is why your comment said, he said it must end. You can't say YSL. So you are neutered. You're rapping with your hands behind your back. They try to revoke your shit because you try to speak up for baby. I don't know how you're going to make that music, and you're really talented. I think you can. But that remains to be seen. You're on the clock. Forget about Gunna. It's about you. I think YB about to go put out a classic and go on tour and go sell every place out. But we'll talk about YB in a little bit. Leave Gunna alone. Move on. Anyway, I just want to do that quick topic real quick. And let's get to court. We are in court, people. Virtual court. Today is the second week, the first day of the second week. This is day 6 of the Diddy trial, okay? Week 2 is beginning with the judge ruling on the scope of Dawn Richard. Everybody got a little special name. It's not Dawn Richard, it's Dawn Richard. Testimony. And then apparently Kerry Morgan is going to testify after. So Kerry Morgan, if you don't know, is the best friend or former best friend of Cassie. She claimed Diddy threw a wooden hanger, fucked up her face, but she was Cassie's closest friend while she was getting cool with Diddy. At a point, she even testified, or not testified, according to Cassie, Cassie was hitting up Diddy like, wait, do you want my friend over me? Because she felt that Diddy was expressing interest in both of them. Her testimony is going to be important to what she's seen. Clearly, she's a government witness, so she's not going to be like, oh, no, Diddy ain't do nothing wrong. Cassie was a whore. So she's going to be probably trying to say, yeah, Diddy was always forceful. He was always intimidating. He did hit me, blah, blah. So that's going to come. But Dawn Richard Dawn Richard is one of the first witnesses that has been a former artist for Diddy. And her day 2 of testimony, she only did like half a day before, starts today. Welcome, people. Welcome, welcome. Welcome. I see everybody on the King Akademiks channel, everybody on the Academy channel. Everybody real quick, if you don't know, you've never been to one of the live streams, you're not a chat nigga yet. You could be, or a chat queen. Just check in. We want to know where you're from, where you're repping. Give me an idea of where maybe your perspective is based out of, okay? Just let me know where you're from. Just check in real quick, all right? That's like roll call. Okay, we're going to roll into this pretty slowly. So it started 32 minutes ago. It says, all rise. The judge, Submaranian, says, on the defense application with regards to Dawn Richard, Mrs. Garagos, which is Tenny Garagos, her opening statement opened the door to this testimony, okay? As to Mr. James, the testimony would be admissible absent more. So, don't know exactly what the application is. I could probably pull it up because it was probably filed on Friday or probably filed this morning or over the weekend, but, argue this morning. It appears that the defense wants to carve out certain parts of, sorry, it's coffee. Yeah, I just gulped the whole coffee thing now because I got to be good. So the defense carved out certain parts of Dawn Richard's testimony. Now, here's the thing about Dawn Richard, right? And this is going to be a main thing about a Dawn Richard or a Kerry Morgan testimony. It's one thing when Cassie takes that stand, and Cassie is a first-person witness, which means Diddy was punching dick in her stomach. She was getting peed on. She was swallowing all different flavors of the rainbow of semen. It's one thing if someone's giving a first-hand recounting or testimony. It's another thing if, oh, you were there, but none of that happened to you. So you're just saying what you've seen. Here's the problem with that. Even if Cassie had an incentive of money, which, come on, there's a lot of money that people could have gained. She gained supposedly 30, 20 from Diddy, 10 from Intercontinental. She was a victim. Let's talk about the people who ain't victims. Diddy ain't punched no dick in your stomach. You wasn't in no free coughs, but you were here to testify. That person could be then deemed and seen as, well, and we're going to talk about Aubrey O'Day. Please remind me. Your gripe might stem from the fact that your career didn't go nowhere. Your gripe might stem from the fact that Diddy didn't believe in you musically. Your gripe could stem from whatever wrong you thought he did to you non-sexually that you now feel is in your best interest or your get back to testify against him about what you claim you saw. Keep in mind, none of it you saw at the time. Did you ever blow the whistle then? What's your excuse? I was an artist. I didn't want to kill my career. Now your career is dead. Now you're down to talk. So that's the thing where the defense is starting to, hold on. We can't let everybody just get up in here claim they've seen some shit. Okay? That's the thing. So the AUSA says, as I argued in my letter, the judge then ruled orally on letters that are not in the docket. Okay, cool. Let's see if we can see this real quick. Okay, all right, never mind. This is inner city press stuff. Okay, cool. All right. So the judge says the same brand of testimony that was objected to on Friday, does the government expect Rashad to say what she heard and saw? Remember, chat, the very basis of even some of the things, like, again, it's one thing, it's like, this is what I've been through. It's another thing, it's like, this is what I heard and saw other people do. It's the definition of a hearsay, right? So the AUSA, which is the prosecutor, says, yes, we expect her to kind of give the same testimony about what she heard and saw. The judge says that would be permissible, just like the testimony in the recording studio, okay? So the judge is kind of choosing the AUSA side on this matter. They're saying two things. The reason why we're going to allow Dawn Rashad, because here's the thing. Diddy's team is coming in at halftime, so to speak, because they didn't say anything Friday. She started testifying on Friday. She said things on Friday. Monday, you know, they've been working, and we've seen Diddy's team has admitted they stayed up till 3 a.m. to get their shit right. Cross their T's, dot their I's. Now, they spent the weekend. They're like, whoa, we could probably get the judge to carve out A, B, and C. The judge is now just saying, here's the problem. I already allowed it on Friday, and you didn't say nothing on Friday. So if they started on Friday saying that, why would I now rule it out? They already started. Number two, in your opening statement, you guys mentioned some of these other people, including Dawn Rashad, who you knew was going to be a witness for the government, and you basically brought up things to nullify what she was going to say. Because you did that, it actually gives her permission to say what she going to say. That's kind of where we're at with it. Okay, cool. The judge said it would be permissible. Another AUSA, or maybe it's the same one, Slavic, says, the personal assistants were with Combs 20 hours a day. Their testimony is admissible. So now they're moving beyond Dawn Rashad, because what's going to happen, Kerry Morgan is Cassie's best friend. Remember, she's seen and heard, right? Then there's going to be Mia. Mia was Diddy's former assistant. Diddy didn't fuck her, I think. Diddy didn't put her in freak-offs, I think. But she's seen and heard. An assistant and a driver, a security, all of them seen and heard. So the AUSA is now putting it out there, we don't want them to, since Dawn Rashad, they can't do nothing about because she already started. We don't want them to bring up the same issue about these other people. And here's the thing. And this is why I said Cassie's the main witness, right? She's the main witness. She's been through it. There's Jane Doe. She's been through it. We don't know anybody else who is a witness / victim who've been through it. The rest are people who've been around it, giving a testimony, just saying, I seen this. I was there. I was the person who helped her go to the hospital after she got a bloody mouth, whatever the case is. Okay. So Slavic is saying personal assistants were with him 20 hours a day. Their testimony is admissible. The judge says, my concern is that there's other way to get evidence in. What Mr. James would add is just a postscript. So basically they're saying, unless these people are direct witnesses, like for example, I seen her punch her in the mouth. You're a direct witness, right? Now you have levels to this. The victim is the best. He punched me in my mouth. I'm telling you, it happened to me. Look at my bloody mouth. He punched me. Good. That's the highest. Then we're going to get, I seen him punch him in the mouth. I was in the room. I seen it with my 2 eyes. Cool. Then you get even a lesser witness, which is like, Yo, I heard a loud noise that sounded like a punch, and then I seen her walk outside and her mouth was bleeding. So I came to the conclusion he punched her in the mouth, or she told me he punched her in the mouth. You see, there's levels to it. So again, the thing with the Diddy case, and this is why Diddy's secrets went, protected for all these years, he wasn't doing everything in front of everybody. So the freak off only Cassie and a few other people could talk about. There was security and other people around there, but they weren't in the room. So all they're doing now is kind of like describing the atmosphere around the room, what they would see. Oh, she walked out crying. I seen this. But Diddy's defense is like, yo, all that shit is bullshit. Y'all never seen nothing. And also, y'all all have some type of gripe against Diddy now. Your career didn't go nowhere, Don Rashad. You're on food stamps. Of course. Diddy's flying private jets. He got astroglide baby oil and motherfucking, like he got that pink cocaine in his spot right now. Like, of course you still mad. You're irrelevant. So you're going to say a story that goes along with anything that's against him. That's what his defense team is trying to say, okay? And the judges kind of say his concern is that if Mr. James, who was an assistant just like Mia, if he don't see it, and even if he's called in to clean up some shit, isn't there other ways to bring in this evidence? Because at this point, it's a lot of assumptions and hearsay, right? And by the way, this is very important, chat. And I know I'm doing some Akademiks. If this case turns into a lot of hearsay and assumptions, instead of this happened to me, I was a victim in this way, this might not be as strong as you think. Okay, so Agnifilio, which is Diddy's lawyer, says, on the David James issue, as a former personal assistant of Diddy, this defeats the whole purpose of this hearsay objection. As I said, hearsay. The government is arguing that it's all admissible because the job descriptions are so vague. We contend it's personal matters. So what they're saying, what Diddy's lawyers is saying is that, yo, that's like you know a girl who gets her ass beat allegedly by her boyfriend. You've never seen him beat her ass. But every time she comes to you, she might have a bruise, and she says, yo, he beat my ass. Now you're the witness that he beat her ass. How the fuck do you know he beat her ass? You've never seen him beat her ass. You're listening to her, and we already got her testimony. So remember, they already got Cassie's testimony. They got Cassie's testimony. Why we need to hear what Cassie told other people, or other people who were helping Cassie after the matter, right? Anyway, the judge says, let me focus you on the assault of the chef. Mr. James learns from a member of the security detail that Combs assaulted the chef. Chat, remember, this is going to be very important, right? Chef Diddy. So remember, there was a former personal chef of Diddy who basically she's claimed that she was assaulted. I think this should be the same one because this one filed a lawsuit and this was in 2017. They claim that, and by the way, start getting into some sexual shit because they claim that, we didn't know it was freak-offs at the time, but they said after sexual encounters, Diddy would order the chef to bring food in the room and Diddy's cock was just lying on the side. Like, he just laid out all type of shit. You know what I mean? Nigga still stroking while she bringing in the fucking, bacon, egg, and cheese. You get what I'm saying? So they basically were just like, what the fuck is going on? They sued, and before we could really think Diddy was some really creep deviant, they paid out. So Diddy settled it. And it went away, and that was 2017. Nothing really popped up till 2023, which was 6 years later. So that was a good settlement for Diddy, even though he probably should have settled this before he even went to the press. Whatever. I think that's a chef. Maybe there's been another chef, but that's the only chef we knew of so far. Let's keep reading. Let me focus you on the assault of the chef. Mr. James learned from a member of security that Combs assaulted the chef. Wouldn't that be in the scope of their employment? So the judge is basically asking Diddy's lawyer, listen, yeah, I don't want to bring in a bunch of hearsay here and allow these people to testify to bullshit or what they heard, blah, blah, blah. But if they do, even if they didn't witness it, and people complained in the moment of some violence, and they could be partied or privied, or they could be vouching for how this violence or whatever was reported. Maybe it doesn't mean it happened, but they know it was reported. They should be able to talk about that, right? And Agnifilio says, I don't know what this has relevance to racketeering. Okay? The reason why he says that, remember, in a racket, these people are complicit. The judge is saying, well, if the security heard that a girl got knocked upside her head and he could testify to that, that's relevant. Even if he didn't see her get knocked upside the head. What Diddy's lawyer is saying, okay, cool, we'll concede that point, but he's charged with racketeering. In racketeering and in a racket, people are colluding. So if the scope of their employment was not to collude with Diddy in this quote-unquote sex trafficking ring, and they were just doing their job, why is their testimony relevant if you're going to say it's not in collusion with Diddy? Who gives a fuck what they say? If they're not working with Diddy to cover shit up or whatever, and then let's keep going. So this has become sort of a bad act free-for-all. Assault is not one of the racketeering acts. Okay? So essentially what they're saying is like, yo, bro, like, y'all go on some other shit. Slavic, which is AUSA, says, this is relevant to the means and methods of the enterprise. The chef is identified as a victim of forced labor. Ooh. Okay. Agnifilio says, I'm going to defer to Miss Westmoreland on the other witness. Now, this is the first time we've heard Miss Westmoreland. So, again, remember, I keep telling you, Diddy's team is really structured. Everybody has an expertise. Let's look. Westmoreland Diddy, that's a lawyer. That's a black woman he added earlier this month who supposedly survived sexual assault, okay? She was going to play a role and looked like her role was maybe to deal with some of the chef stuff. She runs Nicole Westmoreland, she runs her own firm. She joined the defense team with a notice of attorney appearance, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. She joined after the jury was being picked. Interesting. Okay, cool. So Westmoreland stands up and says, Miss Richard claims that Mr. Combs assaulted Ventura right in front of her. The other alleged threats are nowhere in close proximity to an alleged assault. We have to distinguish between Danity Kane and the Diddy Dirty Money eras. And Mr. Pierre was telling her, where are you going to go? I don't see how that could be misconstrued as a threat. So the judge says, let me think about this. So here's the thing. What they're trying to say, if Dawn Richards, and by the way, chat, I know you guys are incredibly smart. I'm not trying to make y'all sound stupid. So if y'all hear me repeating or trying to give a colloquial explanation, like a layman's terms explanation that anybody can understand, and you're like, nigga, we already understand what we read, I apologize. There might be some people that don't. What Westmoreland, one of Diddy's lawyers, is saying, check this out. Yo, if she want to testify that she saw Diddy beat Cassie, cool. She's an eyewitness, cool. But if she's testifying to threats that that could be misconstrued as whatever between the groups or whatever, and this is like bullshit. So the judge is kind of realizing, all right, yeah, if they allow everybody to be like, oh yeah, we thought Diddy was talking in a harsh tone of voice, we were scared. Yeah, you're going to paint the guy as a monster. Of course they're going to want to send a nigga to jail, right? So the judge is going to think about it. Then they're saying we have an application from the press that emails be put in the record. Okay? I'm directing you to put them together and put them in a docket by next Tuesday, and after that on a weekly basis. Okay? See, I told you, Inner City Press, which is this person, they put in a application to the court, and that application clearly is admitted. That's what I'm telling you. This is why he's the only person really tweeting the case. There are people in there I've now found out, like if for Fox News, they're in court and they're communicating. I don't know how they are, but they're communicating to their reporter who's like speaking about it, but they're not tweeting it. Okay. All right. Here's the filing, and this is what Inner City Press did. This is cool. Oh, it was an email. By email. So they emailed it. So honorable blah blah. This is a press application, a docket, and unseal government and defense communications to the chambers on evidential. Oh, okay. Dear Submarinian, Inner City Press has been covering the above like many others. Okay, perfect. Yo, got to say, Inner City Press, everybody, including me, we owe you a debt of gratitude. You're doing the Lord's work. Without you, coverage of this case would be very difficult, and we'd be probably getting it once a day from like Fox News. Thank you. Okay? Don't know how we could really show you our appreciation, but I do want to tell you you are very appreciated. And I know me, myself particularly, if there's a way we could try to show our appreciation, we absolutely will. All right? All good. 13 minutes ago, the jury is now entered, and AUSA Slavic says, by the way, Don Richard is on the stand again. Says, when Mr. Combs told you that people could go missing, how'd you interpret that? Don Richard says, that people could die. I couldn't believe that this could be the beginning of a journey for us. AUSA says, what do you mean? Like Diddy Dirty Money? She says, yes. So look like at the beginning of Diddy Dirty Money happening, things are going on, craziness, and Diddy's letting people know like, yo, y'all fuck around with me, niggas could go missing. And she's admitting she interpreted that to be people could die, right? AUSA Slavic then says, well, what did you observe? By the way, I feel like she already said this, but okay, cool. She's saying again. He would drag her, talking about Cassie, and kick her and punch her in the mouth. AUSA says, what would prompt these acts of violence? Combs says, Westmoreland, who's now more involved, says, objection. The judge says overrule. Don Richard says whenever she would speak up for herself, talking about Cassie again. Slavic says, who in security witnessed these things? Don Richard says, D-Rock and Roger Bonds. AUSA says, where did Miss Ventura get hit? Don Richard says, her knees, her face, all over. The AUSA says, did there come a time you were in New York for a festival? Don Richard says, yes, in Central Park. The AUSA says, in the residence, what happened? Don Richard said, he punched Cassie. She came into the bathroom crying. Remember what I told you, chat? Some of these things she saw herself, some of these things she was around. And this is why the Combs team wanted to limit her testimony, because Cassie already said what supposedly happened to her. You don't need to keep saying the same thing 15 times, but with lesser and lesser possible credible witnesses, right? If you didn't see it, why are you still talking about it? But the judge is still thinking about it, hasn't made a ruling on it. Said he punched Cassie. She came into the bathroom crying. You could see her upset. She was hurt. Another objection. Remember, this doesn't seem like she saw he punched Cassie. It seems like he saw her come into the bathroom and probably assumed, or maybe Cassie told her, I got punched. The judge sustains it for now, which means you guys know what that means, right? So overruled, which means answer. Sustained means move on. So what injuries did you observe? So remember, they can't testify to what Diddy did. That's what they're trying to carve out. Dawn, you ain't see Diddy punch her. And Diddy was really slick and shrewd in that type of way. No matter how, and I think the government's going to make a bigger point of this, no matter how Diddy, part of his defense is that I was, incapacitated. I was drunk. I was inebriated. He was always slick enough that he didn't do everything in front of everybody. That's the only reason why for 11 or how many years, people didn't know exactly what he was doing, right? So he would do it in another room. You might see her cry. You might hear her scream. But it's not like he was like, everybody watch me while I punch the shit out of her. He would say, yo, let's go in the room real quick. He go in the room real quick. He do whatever he do. She comes out crying. Or they hear a scream. He comes out and say, oh, y'all got to go. You assume, like, oh, damn, he must be beating her ass. So his defense, knowing this, is saying, we're going to make sure people don't testify to none of that other shit. Cool. Here we go. So she says she observed a swollen eye. It appears she may have not observed the punch, but she's assuming it's a punch because she's seen a swollen eye. By the way, it would be crazy if Diddy was straight, like, closed fist punching Cassie. And again, chat, you know, we're trying to be very neutral here, but we have some humanity. And also, we're not going to assume Diddy's all the way guilty on everything. We're going to try to give him a fair shot. We're trying to do a court analysis with some real nigga lenses, right? If it is true that he's punching her closed fist in the eye, that is crazy. A grown-ass man punching a woman who's like 17 years younger than him in the face with a closed fist is crazy, okay? But again, we don't know if it was a punch. She's claiming it was a punch, but it was objected to. Okay, let's go. AUSA says, well, why did you remain with Ventura after the incident? Dawn Rashad says, I wanted her to feel supported. AUSA says, what is this? And I guess they show a picture or some type of exhibit. Dawn Rashad says, well, that's a Central Park event. They showed photos of Cassie in a sunglass, and there was Dawn Rashad too. So it was a picture of both of them, probably at the Central Park event. AUSA says, why did you wear them? Solidarity. So apparently Cassie gets punched in the eye. Her eye is swollen. She wears sunglasses at the event, but Dawn wears sunglasses too. The AUSA, the prosecutor, is saying, why'd you wear sunglasses? She's saying, I wanted to be in solidarity with Cassie. Interesting. We get some more tweets. The next assault, who was there? Dawn says, D-Rock, Capricorn Clark, and Harv Pierre. Harv Pierre was a former president of Bad Boy Records. He's been sued in some of these civil suits, but it's the first time we've heard his name being brought up in the criminal case, okay? AUSA says, who was Mr. Pierre? At Bad Boy, he was answering the Combs. By the way, we could look it up, and just let's be factual here. Harv Pierre, I'll show you a picture of him. That's him. You may have seen him on Making in the Band. He was best known for working with Diddy Bad Boy Records, but he was, I believe, either the president or something of the sort. Give me a second. I'll get you his title, because I remember I used to see it on the screen all the time. Yeah, he was the president. If you looked at his LinkedIn, he was the president of Bad Boy Entertainment, okay? By the way, he also shares the fact that he has a Howard background with Diddy as well. Let's keep it going. Dawn says that Bad Boy was answering the Combs. AUSA says, did they do anything? Dawn said, none of us did anything, okay? Now, it's an interesting, sequence of conversation or questions that they're going along with to ask Dawn about, because remember, this is a racketeering case. So what you want to show is complicitness, not people ignoring a situation or wanting to mind their business for their own jobs. You want to show people helping to cover up, helping to placate, helping to facilitate what Diddy was doing. So I'm watching this line of questioning. Again, it's one thing to say, yo, okay, say I have a bunch of employees. I punch a chick, right? When I punch her, my security, my assistants, my presidents, my chief of staffs, they all ignore it and act like they didn't see it. That's one thing. It's another thing if one of them run to the store to go get some Tylenol, one of them get some Band-Aid, one of them start sweet talking a chick like, come on, don't say nothing. We're going to bring it to the hospital. This is a story. Now it looks like everybody's working with what I did. That seems like a racket. That seems like a criminal organization, as opposed to maybe everybody just want to mind their motherfucking business. Okay? Mind your motherfucking business just seems like, self-survival. Anyway. Y'all all good, by the way? Let me bring up the King Akademiks chat. By the way, shout out to all my people on Rumble. And, of course, all my people on Kick. I got Kick up on the screen, too. Check Kick Team email chat. What? Okay. Wait, did Kick Team email me? You got an email. Yeah, I remember Blue's Clues. You got mail. Actually, that's AOL shit. Okay. Oh yeah. Thank you. And by the way, shout out to and thank you to the Kick. Shout out to the Kick chat. All right, they just gave me. They told me some really important shit. Here we go. There we go. Here we go. Wait, how do I do this? Oh, give me 1 second, Jay. Wait, how do I do this? I'm trying to edit the stream info real quick. Oh, I'm clicking on the wrong fucking thing, bro. I'm clicking on the wrong fucking thing. All right. Thank you to Kick. And thank you. By the way, I want to say, yo, chat, you guys are so amazing. We do stream on multiple platforms at times. We might do a little Kick exclusive at the end. Maybe a little bit gambling and like just some, riffing and shit like that. But I will say this to y'all. Kick hit us up and they say, yo, your audience is amazing. We love how you guys been running it up on here. And I want to say for everybody who is a chat nigga, I know you may have different viewing preference. I know some of y'all love watching on Rumble, love watching on YouTube. Shit, people even watch on Meta. And I know a bunch are starting to watch on Kick. I love you guys because, I'm telling you, the platform is very happy with us based on how you guys turn up support. Appreciate you guys so much for that, right? Okay, good. And by the way, I'm always honest with y'all, like, especially after the whole Twitch shit happened, we can't just be on one platform. We gotta be everywhere. You get what I'm saying? When you one place, they got you by the balls. When you everywhere, it's a little harder. All right, cool. So it looks like they're trying to figure out what the hell Dawn and them did. And it's clear that after the next assault, we don't know if it was a punch or something, but they're saying that D-Rock, who I think this is a security guy or some type of guy like that. Harv Pierre is the president. Who's Capricorn Clark? We should look that up. But they're saying that everybody didn't intervene when Diddy assaulted Cassie the next time. They're saying, so Dawn Rashad says, when we drove back to LA, he slapped Cassie in the mouth, told her to shut the fuck up. Wow. AUSA then says, how did the passengers respond? So it looked like they were in the car. Dawn Rashad said, we stayed silent the rest of the ride. Damn. Okay. Dawn Rashad said, I asked myself, if he did that to someone he supposedly loved, what would he do to an employee? So I'd approach Mr. Combs with softness. AUSA says, did you try to intervene in the relationship? Dawn said, no, for my own safety. So look like that's going to be the whole, I think this is the premise of Dawn Rashad's testimony, is to let people know, right? The reason why we ain't jump in, we was scared of this nigga too. We saw him beat her ass. We didn't want to get our ass beaten, okay? By the way, whoever this is, they said the first RICO in history where the members of the criminal enterprise were doing their day jobs and minding their business, right? Like they're minding their motherfucking business. Where's the criminal organization? Now, here's the thing. I think Mia or someone else is going to have to impugn Christina Karam. Like, all the personal assistants are flipping on Diddy. They're all acting like, oh, we weren't a part of this. We were doing our jobs. We just didn't intervene. Or if we did do something, it's because Diddy forced us and we didn't think we were part of a criminal organization. Okay? But that is a point. They said this is the first RICO in history where the members were just doing their day jobs and minding their business. Because I'm telling you, this line of questioning, I don't know why the AUSA is doing it. Because all you're proving is that the artists And his other employees just didn't do nothing. They just kind of looked the other way. But it's not like they were helping Diddy do what he did. It's not like they're like, yo, Diddy, let me hold her hands while you slap the fuck out of her. They're not doing that. They would just see the shit and be like, that don't mean they're part of this criminal organization. That mean they want to get a paycheck. They're minding their motherfucking business. Well, I keep telling you, mind your motherfucking business. All right, here we go. Cool. All right. So she said she minded her business for her own safety. AUSA says, well, did you see Mr. Combs using drugs? She says, yes, weed, ketamine, Molly, cocaine. AUSA says, opiates? She says, that I never saw. So I guess opiates are like perks and stuff like that, right? Perks. What else is an opiate? Type of. What other drugs are opiates? Oh, codeine. I thought perks was opiates. I don't know. Okay. Heroin. Oxycontin. Obviously, somebody would be doing fentanyl by themselves, right? Okay. Wait, let me just Google it. Is Percocet a opiate? Yeah, Percocet is. So Percocet, Vicodin, and Oxycontin, they are. Okay, cool. We're getting it here. Okay, so they seen Diddy do weed, ketamine, Molly, and cocaine, no opiates. Said that never saw. By the way, this is also important. You got to realize, obviously Diddy's lawyers are going to paint Dawn Rashad as having this angle of probably wanting to see Diddy go to jail and setting him up, right? When she admits to certain things that could help Diddy, that also helps her credibility. Like, hey, did you see him do opiates? They're trying to put also this idea that Diddy did opiates. When she says, nah, I never seen that. That gives a little bit more believability to what she's saying. Like, okay, she's not just gonna say yes to everything to sink this guy. She's really telling her true recounting of the situation. AUSA says, who brought the drugs in? She said, one stop. What does that mean? He had it all, including Plan B and birth control. I was wondering where the Plan Bs and birth control was at. Can't have a freak off if you nothing in these women. How the hell they ain't getting pregnant? There's no kids, no abortion. Okay, we now know the Plan B was in cahoots with this fucking freak off. Andrew, thank you for the file. Reading the second. So basically, Dawn Rashad is saying they had a one-stop shop. Maybe it was, you heard that sometimes Christina Carrano or somebody would have a fanny pack and supposedly had party drugs, they had condoms, they had all these type of things, but I guess it would have Plan Bs and birth controls as well. Okay. All right. A one-stop shop. Holy. AUSA says, did you ever see Mr. Combs with guns? Dawn Rashad says, yes, handguns on his lower back. AUSA says, who else? I think that's what it means. Who else had guns? Dawn Rashad says, security, D-Rock and Bonds. AUSA says, what did you do after Bad Boy? Dawn Rashad said, sing. Whenever I got momentum, I'd get a FaceTime from him. So apparently after she left Bad Boy, whenever she was like still working on her career, whenever she got a little bit of buzz, Diddy would call her. AUSA says, how would you speak to him? Very soft. I'd always call him bro. AUSA says, why did you not disclose the abuse you had seen? She says, I was told not to by Mr. Combs and Harv Pierre. Now, that's important because now she's making Harv Pierre seem like a co-conspirator. He's complicit. That he was, again, a part of the cover-up, which becomes a part of the crime. In this particular case, becomes a part of the crime, right? So remember, this is a RICO case. AUSA says, when did you speak out? She says in 2024. Okay. We not only read the tweets, we also kind of like cross-reference a little bit. Dawn Rashad, did she ever... did Roger Bonds speak about her? Because Roger Bonds has been speaking about a lot of people. Okay. Here we go. We're trying to find his testimony is always pretty good. Here we go.
And so I've given a lot of thought, and I'm gonna let you out your contract too. As far as for you, Dawn, I still want to make music with you. I still want you to be signed to the label. And, you know, if I decide to put that together, Danity Kane, then, you know, you'll be the only member that'll still be there.
Okay, so at a point, we had Diddy who dropped everybody but Dawn. Okay. We're going to get to Aubrey O'Day. We're going to get to Aubrey O'Day at a point.
Talented.
I'll put this on the side. But Danity Kane had Aubrey O'Day and Dawn Richard and a few other people. By the way, one of the women of Danity Kane, I think this woman, what's her name again? Y'all are gonna remind me. She's sticking up for Diddy a lot. Like, she was sticking up for Diddy. But then people felt like her lawyer was being paid for by Diddy. Because Diddy had called her several times before, and this is Harv Pierre, several, I think it was 100 times. Over 100 times before she had put out whatever she had put out. Okay, cool. Now, what the government just did with the testimony is accuse this guy right here, Harv Pierre, of being they've accused Harv Pierre of being what do you call it again? A co-conspirator. What the natural thought is, will he take the stand? Will he flip against Diddy? But if this is what the government is trying to elicit, if he's not charged, why isn't he? Right? Because they're trying to say he's part of this criminal organization. If he's not charged, most likely he will be testifying against Diddy. But it's very low that he's not mentioned at all. I'm still trying to see him. Like, if we're thinking about this criminal organization that they keep mentioning, we have Harv Pierre, who's now mentioned today, and Christina Karam, who's mentioned a bunch of times, even in the indictment. If none of them testify against Diddy, we're thinking they're going to be co-conspirators, but they're not charged. So we're going to see what happens with them, if anything at all, right? All right, let's see. Dawn then says, I saw Ms. Ventura take the stand and tell the truth. Westmoreland says, objection, which is a really good objection. You got to object there. The reason why is you shouldn't be testifying about another person's testimony. So when she says, I seen Ms. Ventura take the stand and tell the truth, Ms. Ventura's testimony is about what she believes. And also, when you say her tell the truth, did she tell the truth for the entire 3 days she was on the stand? Every single moment? So that was a great objection, and the judge sustained it, which means, yo, you can't talk about her testimony. What the fuck? AUSA says, did you see Ms. Ventura file a civil lawsuit? And then did you file your own? She said yes. Which, yes, she did file her own lawsuit against Diddy. Has she done any interviews? Let's see if we can find out if Dawn has done any.
So the Diddy and Cassie situation has been getting freakier and freakier by the day. The more and more I hear about these allegations, Diddy is a freaky man, the king of the freak-offs. And Cassie, you feel me, she was young, vulnerable. But like what Ak said, she could have left. Like, Diddy was not holding her. Well, you know, this is what's hard for me. Allegedly, Diddy wasn't holding her hostage, but she said on the video that came out in the hotel where he hit her over and drug her back, she was trying to leave one of the freak-offs. And Diddy said, oh no, you're not going to leave the freak-offs. You got it. Yeah. Wait till the dude, bust a nut, allegedly. Then all over you, then scrape it off, go in the other room and rub it on my nipples. That's what he wanted. It sounds so crazy to say, but that's what Diddy wanted. Like, we seen him in the robe. I thought he was just fresh out the shower, but allegedly he was probably butt naked. I'm surprised there was no baby oil on her or him, or she wiped it off. That's why he was so mad. It was no baby oil on. Hey man, I genuinely feel bad for Cassie. I feel bad for her husband too because he has to be in court and he's listening to all these things. And I don't really think Cassie's lying about anything. Like Cassie just seems like a nice girl, probably like gentle, innocent, like, and she just wanted a career. Like, man, I'm struggling here because I want to be very, very honest about everything. Like my point of view. I don't think Diddy was the best of best people, and I think everything he did to Cassie was wrong, and it was definitely manipulative and all that stuff. But like, is it sex trafficking though? Like, this is what he's charged for. Like domestic violence, yes. Assault, yes. Like probably a bunch of other crazy stuff, yes. But sex trafficking, bro, I don't know if you could say he was sex trafficking. But it's only day two of the trial. And I'm gonna be very, very unbiased about every single thing I say. It's day two of the trial. Diddy is he's there every day. They say that he's looking white as hell, he's gray as hell. He's, you feel me? They said he was looking at Cassie the whole time. But day three, four, five, six, seven, we don't know what's gonna happen. Maybe 2 weeks later, there might be someone else taking the stand, and we don't know how that's gonna go. Maybe like 3 days later, there's gonna be a new person taking the stand, and they just expose everything about Diddy. Like, we don't know fully everything Diddy's done yet. Like, there might have been men that he was having free calls with. Like, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like, Act was the line about what he said. Diddy should just came out and said that he was a flexible, bro. He should just said he was bisexual, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lie. And what Act said, bro, all these rappers gotta come out who was around Diddy, like really, really hung around Diddy and was like really cool with him. They need to come out and like, yeah, yeah, bro. You gotta defend yourself, your integrity. You feel me? But your boy Big Act News. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And do you feel like Diddy's innocent or do you feel like he's guilty? And we're talking about sex trafficking. Like, we're not talking about is he a good person or not. Do you think he's guilty of sex trafficking, Cassie? It's your boy Big Act News, and I'm out.